Meeple Nation Podcast, episode 568, games with modular boards that we don't own.
Welcome, citizens, to Meeple Nation. Grab your favorite beverage, pull up a chair, warm up those dice, and join us at the game table as we discuss board games and the board gaming world. Each week, the hosts of Meeple Nation share their love for board games and the amazing memories that come from playing games with some very outstanding people. Let us now join our hosts in their natural habitat, the game table.
All right, this week we end our discussion of games with modular boards by hitting some that we don't own and dip into that question of why don't we own those. So maybe we will be adding some of these to our shelf, maybe our shelf of shame, or not. Let's find out as we dig in. And Andy, you missed the last two episodes because you were being sick like some
lame-o
sick person. Yeah. Apparently you got Doug sick or something because Doug's not here.
We just switch spots.
Yeah. Very glad to have you here. As we go through this list, there might be some games that are on your list that you want to touch on as well that maybe we didn't fully discuss, even if you just want to give your insight to those.
For sure.
We'll dig into some of these, find out if we're going to put any on our shopping cart. I guess in our shopping cart, not on it. We can put it on it and it'll just fall off and then we don't have to buy it.
Maybe
right?
that's the way to do it.
You get all the textual high of putting it into your cart, but then you just never check out.
Where did it go? It fell off.
Yeah.
Darn it.
Yeah, my wife just did that the other day. She ordered something from Amazon and she's like, why isn't this here? Why isn't this here? Why isn't this here? Because she never clicked checkout.
Hey, number one way to save money when you're shopping.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't check out. But unless you're at the store, then please check out. Don't just walk out with the merchandise.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll get you in trouble.
So they say.
The Meeple Nation Podcast is sponsored by GameToppersLLC.com. Go to their website, check it out. They have some amazing product. Upgrade every single game in your game room with the Game Topper. Gorgeous mats, lots of accessories. Check them out, GameToppersLLC.com.
We are the hosts of Meeple Nation. I'm Nathan Howard.
I'm Andy Holliday.
We have a website full of goodness. We have links to all of our old episodes. We also have links to our secondary podcast, Salt Pod. This is a podcast all about SaltCON. So we'll be releasing episodes there once a month. If you're interested in SaltCON or just wanting to hear us talk a little bit more, that will be available the second Monday of every month, I believe. We also have bios. You can email us at meeplenation@gmail.com, and we have a Patreon link. We love our patrons. Our patrons help keep the podcast rolling and keep us going, keep a smile on Andy's little face.
That's right.
And we also have all of our socials out there. There's links to our Instagram, Facebook, our Facebook group, Meeple Nation Off Air. We're on X as well as Discord. Going forward, there'll be show notes available that will have links to all of these. So if you cannot find those, there should be a click on the episode and go to the show notes. You should be able to find those links. And of course, they're always available at meeplenation.com.
Awesome. Like you said, I was sick, so I missed the last two episodes. So I'm really curious as to what have you been playing, Nathan?
Oh, are you leading us into Highlight 30?
I sure am.
All right. Well, you have missed out, Andy, because I have discovered a game that I tremendously love.
All right. I can't wait to hear about this.
So this is a game, we alluded to it a little bit. Doug and I talked about it just briefly, but we hadn't really had any play into it. I have quickly played this game 10 times.
Really?
Yeah, I'm just eating this game up.
Now, hold on, time out. You've played this 10 times for real? Played this 10 times?
Yeah. I have played this for real 10 times.
Wow.
I have played it 2 additional times.
For pretend.
For pretend. Yeah, I'm playing it. It does have a BGA implementation. We haven't completed any of our runs, because a run is... I'm talking about Dead Cells, by the way. Dead Cells, a roguelite board game. So this is you run your characters through the runs. Your characters get the runs.
Wow, I'm intrigued already,
yes.
Nathan.
You run. Your characters perform a run, which is they go until they meet and defeat or are defeated by a boss, or if they get defeated beforehand. And so you're running through. They're not mazes, but you're running through some areas. You're delving out of these dungeons, into these dungeons, whatever. There's 2 levels that you're going to go through, at least that we've done so far. Well, we've gone through 3 different levels. The nice thing about this game is you're not expected to win. It is a tough game.
Okay.
And so when you die, you reset and begin again. However, as you go through the first time, you have the opportunity to find better weapons, and then you put these better weapons in your treasure chest. So as you're playing, you have the opportunity. It doesn't guarantee that they're going to be coming up at the top of your equipment deck, but you have the opportunity to get some of these better weapons. And as you progress, you also have universal achievements that will help you progress further and survive longer. But this has been a fantastic game. The rules, not so fantastic.
Oh, that's a bummer.
It is. But as you go through this, there's a high level of challenge because you're running into monsters. And so these monsters are going to come out, and then you're going to play one attack card for the entire combat.
Really?
Yeah,
Just one?
You pick one of your cards in your hand as your attack card, and that card is going to have, there's 3 rounds of attack during each battle. It's a cooperative game, but you can't really tell everybody everything that you're going to do. So you can make one announcement about the card. You can say, I'm doing damage in round 2, or I'm freezing in round 3, or I'm healing in round 1, whatever it is. But you're going to pick one round and share one bit of information about what you're going to do in that round. And then everybody goes through and you try to do your best to survive. And the monsters are going to come up, and then the monsters are going to have attacks that they will do in 1 or 2 or 3 of the rounds. After you've revealed, you try to time how your attacks are going to work. Try to defeat the monsters as best you can. But it's very frustrating when a game that's just came out, 2024, and it already has a 12-page FAQ.
You're kidding.
No.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah. And reading through the FAQ, there's some of the stuff is pretty basic information. Like, oh, yeah, intuitive, right? I mean, you figured it out. But the fact that there still is 12 pages of erratas that people have asked these questions. And there are some very glaring mistakes. Like there's the Flayed has... Oh, I'm going to totally draw blank on their levels, but each one has stats on them, and the top stat is your health. But when you raise that level up one, the Flayed has an icon on there that they lose a health. And that's the number one thing in the FAQ is that's a misprint. The Flayed doesn't lose any health.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, I mean, and that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
And you read through it otherwise, or a little bit later, there's stuff that's on the boards that, oh yeah, that was from an earlier version. Just disregard those.
Oh, you're kidding. Oh, that is unfortunate.
And so Doug and I were discussing, and I was wondering if maybe because this is a property, right? It's an IP, and maybe there was some push to get it done quickly.
That's almost what it sounds like.
But this could have used some more time in the oven, for sure.
Yeah.
All that aside, I am loving Dead Cells, a roguelike board game. Fantastic. I am eating it up, playing it left and right. Any chance I can get. Doug and Richie and I played it one night for 5 hours, I think.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah, we played it. We went through it like 8 times.
Dang.
And of those 8 times, I think we only won twice. It has end game stuff that allows you to kind of perk up your universal achievements. This game is great because it is a campaign game, but it's definitely not a legacy game. You can totally reset it and start over again, and then correct all the rule mistakes that you made because the rules were terrible. But a fantastic game. Highly recommend you read the FAQ with the rule book, piece it together that way, but very enjoyable. If I had 3 hands, I would give it 3 thumbs up.
Really? Wow. Well, it's good that the poor rules didn't ruin the game for you.
Yeah, no, they didn't ruin the game. It did make it a struggle, yes. And there were plenty of errors that we made that were kind of like, well, we revealed information, can't unreveal that information.
Oh, yeah.
And so you
couldn't take back.
Yeah, you can reset stuff and do it over again, but then you have that knowledge of what is going to happen that taints your decisions from that point. But Dead Cells, a roguelike board game, has been fantastic.
Awesome. Well, these last week or two have been Kickstarter fulfillment filled weeks. I have had a ton of stuff fulfill over the last couple of weeks. And one of those games is one that I have been really anticipating. And that is the Elder Scrolls Betrayal of the Second Era.
Doug also was very excited about this one.
Yes, this is a chip theory game. Now, we played our first chip theory game at BGG this year. We played Too Many Bones.
Yeah.
And I believe all of us really enjoyed our play of Too Many Bones. Well, this is going to play very similar to that. We have different campaigns that you can go through. They're not super long campaigns, so they're definitely manageable. We shouldn't be in the situation we are with most of our campaign games where we have just barely,
scratch the surface.
Yeah, scratch the surface. But these, it sounds like they're going to finish up quick, and then you can jump into the next one. So they're shorter campaigns, but there are multiple. So you can go on different maps and try different. You're going to encounter different monsters based on the maps that you're in. Have different challenges that are cards that get put in the challenge deck. The general ones that always are in there, and then you have specific ones for the region that you're in on that map. So it does change a little bit each time. You're going to have some of the same stuff each time. You'll have the monsters that are always going to be in there, and then you have specific monsters that are only going to be encountered on those specific maps. Otherwise, you will never see them. Anyway, I played through the escape from prison, kind of the tutorial part of the game, where you're escaping from prison. You don't have a class yet, and then based on what your characters achieve, so I did a 2-player version of that. What your players achieve, the achievements they make will unlock certain classes that you can pick from, or if you don't like them, you can just pick from the large stack of classes that there are in the game. So there's a bunch of different races you can play. There are actually 2 of each race card in there, so if multiple players want to play Khajiit, then 2 of you can play Khajiit. If you want to play 2, if you want to play Dark Elves or whatever. But there is only 1 of each class, so you can't double up on the classes, but there's a lot of different classes that you can pick from. So I'm excited to get this to the table with 4 of us and really start diving into the Black Marsh campaign and really get into the story of this and some bigger battles, because the battle to escape from prison, it was just 2 monsters on the board, and it was just a really light, the same version of that you're going to play, other than you didn't have a class. Obviously, you're not going to do any town actions afterwards. You're not doing anything in between scenarios. So I'm excited to get into this and really start to get into the meat and potatoes of this game, because it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm way excited to try this. Looks like it's going to be a blast.
Yeah, I am also extremely stoked to play this, and my son Caden has been bugging me. So, Dad, have you read the rules to that yet? Have you read the rules, Dad? I'm like, I'm almost done.
That's excellent. So I set a rather ambitious goal this year to play 200 new games. Very ambitious. Doubting if I'll actually get to.
Yeah, that's a lot of new games.
I'd played 176 last year, new games, and so I'm like, I can push in 24 new games, but I'm a little nervous that I haven't got that many in yet. A game that I played again, and I thought it was the first time, because I'm pushing to get all these games. I'm gonna have a lot more games to talk about probably on my highlight 30s. It might be highlight 45 at this point. But Federation is a game that I got to the table again. This is a game that actually you and I played through. It was kind of a rough teach on my part. Salvatore, a long time ago, thought there was a very harsh rift on Star Wars, because it very much looks like the Imperial Senate.
Yeah.
And he's absolutely right. It does have that kind of feel to it. The look anyways. The feel of the game is nothing like Star Wars at all, but you are trying to gain influence on different planets, and you are trying to gain influence in the Senate, and you're trying to pass laws in the Senate that will give you... There's 2 laws that you're choosing. Either law will give some benefit. You're trying to decide which benefit that you want the most, and so you're going to try to push your influence onto that vote. And then at the same time, there's 6 different planets that you're trying to gain influence on those. A lot going on. Very busy board. Very busy sub-boards. I've played this game like 8 times now.
Oh, really?
I almost have it, I think. Play this a lot with Richie. I've won twice, but I can't tell you how. And
Nice.
Was able to outmaneuver him on a little bit of things, to out-influence. But there's a lot going on, and actually provides a lot of replayability. But Federation is an older game, 2022, I believe. Very much enjoyed this game.
Awesome. I was looking up trying to find our play, and I'm not finding it.
So you and I played it, Andy, back in June of 2024.
Oh my gosh, was it that long ago?
Yeah, so we've played it quite a while ago, and I've played it several times since January. And I had forgotten that we had played it the one time. So when I went to record this as a new play, I was a little bit bummed out that I had already played it once. So wasn't quite new to me, but it was new to me for this year, and is going to be checked off on my 10 games 10 times.
I was just really looking because I was curious about the score, Nathan. That's all.
Oh, the score was... I don't want to talk about the score. You had 212 points. I had 105.
Oh, you did better than I had for you down for. I had you down for 79. So.
Oh, well, it probably felt like 79.
I'm glad that you're learning better and you're winning now. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah. Every once in a while it happens. Somebody's defenses are down, can slip under the radar.
Sneaky.
And pull that rug out from under their feet.
Nice. All right. Well, let's get into the theme of this episode.
All right.
Which is talking about modular boards, games with modular boards that we do not own, and maybe a few that I do own that you guys don't.
Yes. Just going through this list, I made a list. I went to BGG, put in the mechanic modular boards, put in a rating. I wanted games that have a rating from 7 to 10 and have at least 2,000 reviews of people who've liked it. So it has a pretty good sampling from the community. I put that in order and listed the top 55 games. Kind of going through this list. I mean, we talked about several that were really high on our list, our top fives, but I know there are some on here that are in your collection that I'm pretty sure we did not talk about. First one that comes to my mind is Spirit Island.
That is in my collection. Now, you know, the funny thing is I've owned Spirit Island for years and I have never played it.
Oh, really?
It is totally on my shelf of shame.
I owned it and I did end up culling it because it is, it's one of those games similar to Root or Oath. There's a lot going on. It's not nearly as difficult to explain or teach as Root, but in Spirit Island, you're essentially gods and you're protecting the island, and you have settlers that are trying to come and settle the island and take over the island. And so you're using the power of nature. And one of my favorite ones is the one that causes the floods, that you come in and you can wash away their settlers, their settlements and their cities, and with the power of the flood. And you're trying to maintain control of the island.
When you say power of the flood, that's water, not like Halo the flood?
Correct.
Okay, just making sure I understand. Just painting the picture in my mind, Nathan. That's all.
Bring on the waters.
It's a little less cool now, but okay.
All right. Going back to Halo, we played a lot of Halo. Back in the day.
We did.
Back when you were all LAN parties, and that was, in my opinion, Halo at its prime.
I agree.
When you had 8 people in 2 different rooms.
Sometimes 16, right?
Yeah, 8 people teams, the smack talk, and the good times that were there. It was a blast. But I actually never played through any of the campaigns of Halo.
You're kidding.
The only thing I loved Halo for was the multiplayer.
Really?
Yeah. When you mentioned the Halo flood, that
it went over your head.
It went right over my head.
And you didn't even catch it.
Nope. Yeah, it was just Kansas City Chiefs. It was gone.
Wow.
Look at me putting out a sport analogy that was spot on.
Good job. Going to that Super Bowl party paid off, Nathan.
It did, yes.
Anyway, so Spirit Island. It sounds fun. It really does. And it's one that I do want to play. It's, like I said, it's been on my shelf of shame for a long time, but it does look good. Did you guys mention Gaia Project?
Just in passing.
Okay.
Because we did compare Gaia Project Terra Mystica.
Yeah.
And we figured that on your list, Terra Mystica was higher than Gaia Project.
That is correct. Yes, it is. Only slightly, but yeah.
I figured I did throw in that with the new expansion for Gaia Project that may have upset that, but I still figured Terra Mystica was your game.
Terra Mystica is still a little higher, but the adding those ships in there really did, I think, knock Gaia Project up a notch in my book, because it did improve the game immensely, I thought. Looking at this list, I know that, Nemesis is on this list. I know it's one that I'll probably never buy. It's one that I have really enjoyed playing.
Doug owns it.
Doug owns Nemesis.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's right. He bought all of it. Has he even...
Nope, he hasn't played it yet.
I didn't think so. The last time I played Nemesis, it took longer to put away and set up
That was so funny.
than to play the game. We died in like 15 minutes.
That was, yeah, and you set up and we're doing everything for at least an hour.
Yeah, it was at least an hour.
And then the game lasted 15 minutes. That was hilarious to witness, and I was so glad I was not in that game.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is with Nemesis, it's usually a really long game. It can be anyway.
Right, yeah.
An extremely long game. I recall when we were playing it to get ready for a playthrough at SaltCON. So we were playing it the night before SaltCON started, trying to go through it so Logan could teach it.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a quick, simple game.
Yeah, I think we finished at like 3 a.m. And
It was terrible, yeah.
we were supposed to get up and get over to SaltCON in the morning.
Yeah, we were supposed to be at SaltCON at 8 or earlier, and then we were playing till 3. All of us.
Yes, it was rough. Yeah, it was rough. It's not one I'll ever buy. I enjoy it, but there's just so much for one. And with Doug and Logan owning it, there's just no need. It is a game I enjoy. Now, do you own Mage Knight?
I own the original version of Mage Knight and several expansions. That was a game that was gifted to me. Douglas owns the newer version of Mage Knight, the Ultimate Edition.
Okay.
And it is still in shrink, and mine is still unplayed.
Okay.
So this is a game that I very much would like to get to the table. And especially with my drive this year of getting new games to the table, that is on my list. But I haven't got it there yet. I got a pretty big shelf of shame, so I'm trying to bust through some of that.
Yeah, you do. It is a big game.
Have you played it?
I have. My daughter's ex-boyfriend Justin taught me this a year ago. Was it a year ago? No, SaltCON summer last year.
I do remember you guys playing it, yes.
He sat down and he's like, I really want to play this with you. So he taught me, and I really enjoyed it. It was fun. I don't know if I would enjoy it so much as more than 2 players. I thought it shined at 2 players. It was really good. More than 2 players, I'm not sure if I would enjoy it quite as much, but it was fun. I thought it was a great game. I can see why a lot of people really like it.
Oh, the community agrees with you. Best at 1 to 2 players. I didn't realize it was a solo play.
I didn't either, but I can see that. Yeah, it would be better with 2, more so than with 1. But anyway, yeah, it was fun. It was one that I think you'll like, Nathan, especially as a 2-player game.
I am looking forward to it. Another one that was on the list that none of us have played but would love the opportunity is Food Chain Magnate. And our friend Will, who played D&D Ravencloft. Ravenloft with you and Doug at BryceCon. He chatted me up on email and said, hey, I've got this. I can play this. There's a kind of a streamlined version that we can play. It's not going to take 4 hours as long as there's no AP. And I'm like, well, I have some, but I'm not as bad as others, but I do have some. But he's like, his dance car is all full in spring. So hopefully in summer, we're going to try to schedule some time to play Food Chain Magnate with Will at SaltCON Summer.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, this would be one that I would love to get to the table to try.
Will does a good job teaching, so yeah, that'll be good. It looks interesting. As I'm looking at the images of this game, it looks... you look at the cover of the box, it looks like a game that was maybe made in the 60s.
And it's supposed to, yeah.
So it's set in the 60s. The components are kind of fun. You got, looks like soda bottles and different types of food. And anyway, yeah, it looks kind of fun. So I would be interested in trying that out.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who really love this game, and he feels very confident that he could get it played in under 2 hours. So
no kidding.
Not including the teach. But still, I'm very anxious to get that to the table. Super generous of him to be willing to teach us that game.
Yeah,
now, if we can just find somebody to play War of the Ring, teach us War of the Ring that's local, then that would be, or even at BGG,
right?
That would be great. But that's not on this list.
No, but Lord of the Rings Duel for Middle Earth is on this list.
This is a great game, though, Andy. You haven't played this game. Doug and I both own this game. This is very much set in the Seven Wonders Duel, but Lord of the Rings.
Cool.
It has this really cool track that the hobbits are on, and so you're trying to get Frodo to Mount Doom to throw the ring in, And then you have the Nazgul who were pursuing on that track. The Nazgul overrun the hobbits, then the one side wins, or if the hobbits get there, the other sides win. There's a little bit of area control that's kind of in there too. Nothing that to shun anybody away from if you're adverse to area control. There's a lot going on in just this little game. They do it very well.
Cool.
So this is one that you need to play very soon.
Yeah, that would be fun to try. There's another one on here that's interesting. This is a 30-minute to 120-minute game, which is quite the span of time. As I'm looking at this, it's rated 7.9 on BGG, a weight of 3.46. This is Clans of Caledonia, a mid to heavy economic game set in the 19th century Scotland. At this time, Scotland made the transition from an agricultural-based society to an industrialized country that relied on trade and export. So throughout the game, the mechanisms in this are you're doing contracts, income, market. There's modular boards, obviously, because that's what we're talking about. Network and route building, variable player powers, which is music to my ears, right?
Yeah.
This actually looks like a pretty cool game. It's one that I would like to try. The board's kind of neat looking. It's hexagonal spaces with grass and water. Every player's going to have their own player board that has your tokens on it as you're taking actions in the game and building up your tableau of stuff. Anyway, it looks really cool. It's one that I think would be really fun to try.
Yeah, this is one that I actually thought I owned before we recorded today. I was up here earlier scanning the shelves because I thought for sure I owned this, but I do not.
Well, it's one that looks good.
It does.
It's one I'd be really, really interested in trying. Maybe we can find a copy in the library.
That would be good.
At SaltCON. That'd be awesome to try.
30 to 120, it looks like it's probably 30 minutes per player.
That's kind of what I was thinking too. Honestly, you get a 2-player game that lasts an hour. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's like perfect.
Yep. So definitely one worth looking for. Hopefully coming across it in a game swap. Clans of Caledonia looks awesome. Another game on here that Doug used to own that he culled and I really wanted to pick up, but I chose not to, is Mechs versus Minions.
Yeah, why did Doug cull this?
Wasn't getting played.
You guys have issues.
Yeah, well.
Don't cull things.
Yeah, well, we run out of space.
Buy a bigger house.
Not quite an option yet, but I thought this was going to be my last move, but I don't think this is going to be my permanent move either. So this next house won't be bigger. It'll just be more mine.
Makes sense. This game looks really amazing. I'm kind of shocked that Doug culled this, as cool as it looks.
I've played it once. Our good friend Sam Aho brought it over and taught us to us once. And in fact, there's an episode way back that we talk about it. I could try to find that.
Sam likes those versus battle games, it seems
He does, yeah. He introduced us to Unmatched.
So I was not aware that Mechs versus Minions is based on a video game.
Yeah.
I had no idea that that was the case. It looks kind of cool. It would be interesting to see what the video game's like as well.
I haven't tried the video game. Maybe it's like Dead Cells, because Dead Cells is a video game as well. But we go back to episode 158 if you want to hear us talk about that. So that was a long time ago.
Oh, that was before I joined the podcast. That was a very long time ago.
Yep. It's a game that I really wish I would have kept from going away, but I do have issues where I have too many games. You can't have them all. You can't collect them all.
That is true.
As much as I try, you can't get them all. I guess it's better to let a game go to somebody else who will play it as opposed to just putting it on my shelf of shame and letting it collect dust. So
that is true. But at least the dust can come off easily because you just have to take the shrink off.
Shut up, Andy. That is not very nice at all.
Just saying. I'm just trying to be helpful. Have you ever played Five Tribes, the Djinns of Naqala?
I have. Yeah,
You have?
I have, yeah.
Okay.
This is a game that I played a long time ago. Friends, Matt and Barb, it was Matt's favorite game. In fact, Barb made a cake and had a screen print an edible screen print of the game on top of a sheet cake.
He really liked this game.
He really liked this game, yeah. It was his favorite game at the time. I didn't like this game.
Really? Okay. Explain to me why you didn't like it.
I didn't like this game because there is very, very little planning that you can do before your turn.
Does that make turns really long because of that? Okay.
Yes. Because there's so much manipulation that I can do on my turn before your turn
The board changes completely.
That can totally throw off everything that you're planning. Just even a little thing can just throw it off completely.
Really?
You're going to pick up a group of meeples, kind of a Naqala type mechanic. You're going to pick up a group of meeples from one section, and you're going to move them along, and you're going to dump off a meeple at each section. If I'm recalling correctly, I'm pretty sure that's right. Every little action just can change the board completely.
Wow.
People take long turns, and there's nothing you can really do before your turn. For me, this was a big killer because there was just a lot of dead time. Then when it was my turn, it was like, oh, okay, what am I going to do now? I have to evaluate everything.
Which is probably why it's best at 2.
Yes. Yeah. It does have a BGA implementation that I'm interested to try. And I think I like that environment for that because there's a lot of games, especially games like I play with David, who is very well known for taking long, thought-out turns. And where we're playing turn-based, I just get a notification when he's done. I don't have to sit there and wait for him and build my inner fire waiting for him. I can play lots of games with Dave and enjoy them very much.
Yeah.
Dave has evolved a lot. The last several times I've played games with Dave, there's been occasions, more than once, that I'm the one slowing the game down far more than he ever was. So Dave has evolved a lot.
Yep,
and so it is unjust to throw him under the bus like that. But I have had also very many experiences where I've pulled out clumps of hair because I'm just like, just take your turn. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. I still love Dave very much. And he's a great kisser.
Wow. That's great. The look on Bryant's face was priceless.
Yeah, it was so funny.
So I own Eclipse New Dawn of the Galaxy. I own this game. I've never played it. I've owned it for probably 15 years or however old it is because I bought it when it was new. Let me look and see when it actually came out. It came out in 2011. So 14 years. I've never played this. I bought it because Twilight Imperium was at that point
the number one game.
My favorite game.
Yeah.
I loved it. It was so much fun. I haven't played Twilight Imperium for years because of the time investment, and honestly, those types of games just don't really interest me that much anymore.
Yeah.
But because I've heard that Eclipse was really good, but because I've never played the first version of it, I've had no desire to buy the second version of it.
Yeah.
As far as not owning the Eclipse Second Dawn of the Galaxy, still haven't experienced the New Dawn of the Galaxy, so it'd have to get in line. I just don't need to add another game to my shelf of shame, which is exactly what would happen.
Didn't you just chastise me about just getting a game?
Yeah, but mine, that's why I wouldn't buy it.
Oh.
Yeah, because it wouldn't sit on I'm not going to allow it to sit on my game shelf in shrink. But at least
dust is fine, but no shrink.
But at least the first version is out of shrink and punched.
Because we're not going to talk about StarCraft or World of Warcraft that you've had for how long?
It's been a long time.
And they're not in shrink, but have they ever been played?
Well, no. But World of Warcraft was never in shrink.
Okay.
I got that at a thrift store for like $5.
Oh, you scored big.
Yeah, it was awesome. I saw that. I'm like, oh, sold. And it's in perfect condition. So yeah, that was a great find. But no, I have not played it. So yeah, you're right. But mine's out of shrink.
But it's out of shrink, so that makes it so
winning.
much better. I'm winning. So another one that's on here that I have very much interest in picking up and playing, well, maybe not necessarily picking up, but definitely playing before I picked up, is Keyflower. 2 to 6 player game, which is nice. It has that span to go up to 6 players. Not every game should. It is nice to have that as an option where you can get higher player counts to the table.
Is this one that should, is the question, right?
Yeah. And I mean, the community says it's best at 4, but still, just to have that option,
right.
It's great to say, okay, hey, we got this, that we can still get to the table and still hopefully have an enjoyable time. Plays in 1.5 to 2 hours, which is a great time frame. So I really would love to get this to the table. This is a game where you're playing over seasons, spread out your workers. You have, I think it's 8 workers that you have. Take advantage of the multiple tiles that are out there and the modular basis of the board, which gives it huge replayability. And then you have more workers that are coming in and boats that are going to be coming in and sending these workers out to do more. This game appeals to me. Not enough to just go buy it, but I definitely would like to play it. Unless I find it in a swap, then I'll definitely buy it and then play it. And
Plus, it comes with cool little houses as blinds.
yeah, those are cool. Yeah, it comes with a ton of little meeples too.
Yeah, that's a lot of wood pieces.
Yeah,
and a lot of hexagonal tiles.
I think this looks good, and a 2 to 6 player game. Yeah, I think this is one that is definitely on my radar. If I do come across it in a game swap, I find it someplace at a reasonable price. Also, probably coming home with me.
Used to own Seventh Continent.
I did. Doug still does.
Doug still owns this.
Yeah.
Has Doug played this?
Yes, he really loves it. And I really liked it too. Played it with my daughter. Her and I went through. And Doug mentioned that they've addressed part of this issue. If you die, there's a lot of rework that you have to go through. You have to start at the beginning and make your way all to the end again. And for me, that was a huge... I didn't like that. Yeah,
for sure.
It was, I know what everything is. And so I know I need to go this way, not that way. I need to look at this. I need to find that, blah, blah, blah. And so I'm just going through these steps to reset.
Just let me respawn.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And Doug said they have fixed that with the newer version.
Oh, that's nice.
And so I can't condemn the newer updated rule set, but it was a game that it was interesting for sure. I did love the discovery of it and the reveal of information and the puzzle of it, but the glaring reset was just huge for me. And
just don't lose, Nathan. Just don't.
Yeah, I lose a lot. So, but yeah, no, I wouldn't condemn it by any means, but it is one that I would say if it's your cup of tea, go drink it up. You and Uncle Iro can enjoy that cup of tea. Nice. But one that I do want to really try is Yokohama.
Yeah, it actually looks really good.
And I have actively been trying to pursue this game to try to acquire it at a decent price. And looking at Amazon has it for $25 right now.
Looks like it just got sold.
It may have.
I mean, this game looks great. Worker placement, you got set collection, route building, network building. Obviously, the modular boards, grid movement, and the game itself is kind of a beautiful game. So,
the color, it does look amazing, and
the art's
just
fun.
Get purchased.
It did just get purchased. It's a weight of 3.29, and it's rated with 12,000 ratings. It's rated 7.8.
Yeah, it's highly rated.
It would be a good one to pick up, I think. It was a good one to pick up.
It was a good one to pick up. It's in my cart. I'm having a hard time pushing checkout.
Did you put it on the cart or in the cart?
It's in the cart.
Oh, it's sold.
It's sold. Yeah, it is. Oh man. Yeah, it's sold. Secure checkout. Place my order. Just like that. Another game added to the shelf of shame.
You should probably see if it costs extra to have the shrink taken off ahead of time. Just saying. We've talked about Forbidden Stars before.
This is one that I have a lot of interest in as well.
And we say that every time we look at this because it looks really intriguing, very cool. The plastic in it is just amazing looking. The artwork is cool. You have these mechs. You have the modular board going on with it. Plays best at 3. It's a weight at 3.84. It does have the area majority influence, which I know that a lot of us, myself included, tend to shy away from. It's got card play conflict resolution, but it is a deck bag pool building, which we all tend to like. Dice rolling is not, as long as they're not D6s, is always good.
I'm okay with the D6s.
You know what? You would be. But no, this game intrigues me every time. And I think my hang up is always that dang area majority influence. And I don't know how much of it because I don't dislike every game that has that mechanism.
Yeah, no, I know you're very adverse to it. I am not its champion by any means, but I don't mind it nearly as much. My big turn off on it is it's available for $230.
Wow. That one's on the cart, not in the cart.
Definitely on the cart. Yeah, not going in the cart at all.
Yeah, that's a big ouch. But it's because it's not a new game. It's 10 years old, so
yeah,
obviously out of print. So if we found a copy.
Yeah, it's definitely somebody's Grail game, and yeah, if you come across this in a game swap, pick it up for sure. If you pull an Andy and find it at a thrift store
for $5,
take that son gun home.
Yeah.
So another one that's on this list that I really would like to try, it's a 2-player game, is Targi. 2012. It's an older game. You have your modular board where you're putting out cards on the table, trying to run the household and have the last word in the tents and over different families, divided into tribes. Goodness that goes in there. But you're just building this 5x5 grid. Plays in 60 minutes. Heard a lot of people that have really liked this game. It's a 7.6 on BGG. Pretty lightweight, 2.34. Very accessible. This is one that I would love to pick up, and my wife. I think this would be a great 2-player game for her and I.
Yeah, 60 minutes, great. It gives you enough to feel like you actually played a game.
Yep.
But it's not going to make your wife feel like, when does this game end?
Yeah. And this one's still on the cart. Talked about 2-player games in the past, and a lot of people say this is one of their favorite 2-player games.
Really?
So it was one that I've been looking for in the past and just haven't come across it. And if I did come across it, I would totally scoop this one right up.
Nice. Well, hopefully you can find it.
Yes, hopefully.
There are a lot of good games on this list, and I'm noticing that we own most of them.
We do own or have owned a lot of these for sure.
Because you have Xia, Legends of the Drift of a Drift System. That's a great game. Viscounts of the West Kingdom, amazing game. You do have Undaunted Normandy. Have you played that
Douglas has that.
Doug has that.
Yeah, I have Undaunted Callista 2200.
Okay.
Which has the set boards. The Undaunted Normandy uses the cards so that those it's a modular board there. Xia, I love this game, but we don't play it nearly enough. It always feels like it's a new play every time we play it because we don't get it to the table nearly enough.
You know what's blasphemous a little bit here is I'm not seeing Pirates of Maracaibo on this list. It wasn't in the top 50.
No, it wasn't.
55, and it really should be.
Maracaibo is not on this. Well,
no, it's not really modular.
Yeah, it's not really modular.
Pirates is.
Yeah.
It's just not been around enough. I'm sure it will eventually make it.
And it's kind of interesting how quickly some of these new games,
jump up the list
so quickly.
That is true.
And it is interesting. Are these going to be inflated? Are these over time? Are people going to change their mind and say, you know what? I don't think this was as phenomenal as it was.
The luster has diminished slightly. Yeah. It's not shiny and new.
Yep. But Gloomhaven's been at the top of a lot of lists for a long time.
Well, it stood the test of time. There's no doubt about that. Those games that just always are there, right? Just amazing games.
And one that that is in my collection that totally was omitted the first time is the Star Wars Outer Rim.
Yeah, that's a great game.
I still have the expansion for that I was super excited for. But yeah, it's still in shrink candy. But it is one that I would love to get to the table again.
I'm surprised that one's still in shrink and hasn't been played.
I am too.
Because that's a great game.
Yes, it is. I mean, we've been going on this list for a good bit now. So maybe we just is there any last ones that you want to touch on before we sign off?
No, I'm just looking at these and it's making me want to play a lot of the ones that we already have. As far as games that I'm looking at here, that there's a lot that I don't own, but that I know that you guys do own. Flamme Rouge, Endless Winter, Oath. I know we don't own Oath anymore. Marvel United. A lot of these are games that I wouldn't mind playing.
Yeah.
Some of them I have not played. I've actually looked at Aura et Labora. It was one I had looked at years ago at buying.
It's a great Uwe Rosenberg game.
It is, and it was, I don't know how many times I've looked at this game and have almost picked it up. Something else always caught my eye, but it was like, yeah, eventually I'm going to get that game. Eventually I'm going to pick up that game, and I just never did. But I like Uwe Rosenberg. I'm Most of his games I really enjoy. There are some that I definitely like more than others, but this one looks very cool. It definitely has a Agricola feel to it, I think.
I see that, yeah. You're looking at the cards and the artworks in particular. You're just like...
Yeah, it definitely has that feel. And I think it was around the same time that Agricola came out. So I really enjoyed Agricola, especially during this time frame. So when I saw this, I'm like, ooh, yeah. But it was usually some expansion that I was picking up or something else took precedence, and I just never picked it up. So
yeah. Agricola was 2007. Ora et Labra
2011
was 2011.
Yeah.
And then Agricola revised edition was 2016. So maybe there was some stuff learned from Ora that made it into the help revise Agricola.
Maybe so.
But yeah, I haven't played Agricola in forever.
Yeah, it's been a long time for me too.
I could play it now and it would be a new to me game in my recorded gameplays. So
it's been that long.
Yeah. Well, I've only been recording games since 2017, and
okay,
Agricola was 2007, so that was 10 years before I even thought about tracking my gameplays.
Maybe we need to pick up Ora Labora. If I can find it in a swap, I think I'm going to look at SaltCON, and guess what? Someone's going to try to sell their copy. You watch.
I hope so. We'll
pick it up.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we have discussed quite a few games tonight. Some of the games that we do own that we've talked about, but a lot of games that we don't own that Nathan picked up at least one tonight. Some that we've talked about before that I feel like we have pretty good reasons as to why we don't own them, but others kind of intriguing. Maybe under the right circumstances, we'll pick those up.
Yeah, at least give a play for sure.
Yeah, maybe see what we can find in the gaming libraries at some of the cons and give them a shot and see if they're as fun as they look.
Sounds great.
Till next time.
We'll see you putting stuff in your cart so you can have it at the game table. Hopefully with us.
Just don't put it on your cart if you really want it.
Yes, yeah. It's got to go in, not on.
Thank you for listening and being a part of Meeple Nation. If you would be so kind as to follow, subscribe, share, and rate or review this podcast, it really helps to spread the fun. You can be more involved in supporting the podcast by joining the nation at patreon.com/Meeple Nation, or you can find a link at the top of our webpage, meeplenation.com. And while you're there, look at all our extra content. There are links to all our past episodes, a wide variety of blogs, pictures from our Instagram feed, and bios for all the hosts and our awesome bloggers. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, all under Meeple Nation. If you would like to chat with the hosts or other members of the nation, you can join our Facebook group, Meeple Nation Off Air. We hope to see you again at a game night, a con, or maybe a suspense-driven evening of Werewolf. Thank you for listening and supporting Meeple Nation, and stay tuned for next week's episode.
Thank you so much for listening. We very much want to thank our patrons who help keep the podcast running. I personally want to thank my co-hosts for all the help they provide with both content here on the podcast, in addition to what we have available on our website. Without them, the podcast would not happen. If you too would like to support the podcast, you can join the nation at patreon.com/Meeple_Nation, or you can find a link to Patreon at the top of our webpage, meeplenation.com. If you have any questions, comments, or games you feel should be on our radar, you can always reach us at meeplenation@gmail.com. We can't wait to hear from you. I am grateful to Doug and Andy who helped me edit episodes, and I want to thank James and Kim Clark who do the editing on our blogs and on our webpage, which can be found at meeplenation.com. We want to thank Brain Detergent for our music. If you want to find more from him, you can follow his links that can be found on our webpage, or simply search for Brain Detergent on YouTube to find more of his tracks. Thank you again for listening and being part of the Meeple Nation community.